JACKOCAR is the Cup Series Season 3 Round 12. It's the first knockout round of the playoffs. 2 drivers get eliminated from the championship tonight. I'm your comms to the own wire. With me we've got Jacko. We're here at Brazil. Gonna have another classic.
Yes, and anybody who caught out the first stream, fair play to you, because it was only live for about 30 seconds. But
yes,
we should hopefully be in for a bit of a classic, I'm hoping.
A 56-second long stream that was, so hope you enjoyed that, but hopefully you stuck around for the second part. Internet broke for a second, but yes, certainly we're going to be here for a cracking race tonight, and yeah, looking forward to seeing how we all get on with this. And oh jeez, my phone's going mental now. I hate everything. But anyway, dry qualifying. We never know what weather we're going to get in the race, but we're just waiting for the first car to come out on the track. Yet another week where Janel isn't able to make it, and so in his place we've got Mr. Jack Gooding in his number 90 car. So look at him coming out of the garage. The man sort of definitely responsible for all of this. No offence, Jacko, but
you're not wrong.
Without Jack Gooding, we wouldn't have had ILR, and without ILR we wouldn't have all met each other, and without meeting each other we would never have thought of making this league. And sadly that means I know most of these people in person now. But well.
Lucky you. In all of that, Jack Gooding will become the 49th driver to start a Cup Series race, running his usual black and yellow or black and gold colours, synonymous with ILR, and also this is the car he runs in the Kia Series. Advanced to the playoffs, and now he's here tonight just to try out and see where his pace is.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen him race. Most of the time I watch him race, or at least in the last game anyway, it tended to end up in a wall somewhere. So we'll see if he's gotten any better at it. Hopefully his experience in the Kia Series will have helped him out here, and we'll see how he does around Brazil. Now here he comes down up the hill. Let's ride on board and hope he doesn't invalidate the lap then in his black and gold car. That's how you do gold properly, TC, or wherever you are, Thomas. I can still see that it's not going to be gold when it comes out on track. I'm telling him all he needs to do is make it gold and he'll win again, but hopefully Jack can prove my theory right here as he heads through the first chicane. You can see the second car heading out into track. That is Josh Fletcher, the 50th driver, we think, isn't it?
There you go, you're correct, yeah.
To take part in a JACKOCAR Cup Series race. Exciting times. Well, let's not focus on him yet. We'll see plenty of him in a moment, and you've already seen he's got a very vibrant car as well. Through the first sector then, Jack looking okay so far. Into the high speed turn 6, easily lose the rear end here if you get on the throttle too early. I wonder if we'll see any of the front runners maybe make that mistake, because you can lose that back end so easy when you're trying to find extra time, and you'll either spin or you'll invalidate the time by going wide. And now heading towards the end of the second sector, towards the dive, another place where surprisingly you can lose the rear if you're too early on your ERS deployment, but Jack's looking okay. 51 dead. Bit of a loss of rear end up the hill, but nothing too major. And he will set the first benchmark of the day as he puts his DRS on. Cuts across the last corner as tight as you possibly dare, and it's a 1:07.5.
Yep, and right behind him, Josh comes out to start his first ever lap. A debut for Josh, but very well known in other leagues such as our good friends at One Hub. I think that might be why his car's a little bit purple.
Season
16 Precision Champion Josh Fletcher, and that number 45. Although it still says 66 on his car, but his JACKOCAR number is 45. A lot of almost uproar, I would say, this morning when it was announced he'd be filling in for Camo Babo. Very fast driver, but as we know, Owen, fast drivers who make their debut in this league do not always finish highly. Let me take you back for a list. Corey, P19 on his debut. Matter, DSQ, Janel, I think he only got P7 on his debut. Louis Delatraz, P19.
Upside down.
And upside down. And I had one more for you as well. Dom Smith, there's a big name for you, P19 as well. So do not expect Josh to walk away with this one if history is to repeat itself. Into this final corner now. Cuts that pit lane like everyone will. That is the fastest way to get around. There's a 1:06.6 for Josh.
Well, it's a good start. He's got P19 in the bag already before we even get started, so it's a good beginning. as we watch OKK Knight heading through the middle sector. Let's see how he's looking on his time. Obviously these guys all, I don't know really what way they're thinking about this, or how consistent they want to be, or whether they want to go full send for victories at this point, if they want to try and make their way up into the look at him losing the rear end. If they want to make their way up into that Championship 5, someone's going to have to do something pretty special though at this rate to beat Kieran, because he's starting to seriously get on form, and we know OKK has a win in him. He's managed to win in both of the first 2 seasons so far for this league, but he's currently qualifying right at the bottom, only further 3, but last is last at the minute. But yeah, he's got a big few races coming ahead, see if he can magic up another victory.
Indeed. And you know what, I'm going to let you talk about Pete, seeing as you're the one who's very happy with the poll I put out a couple of days ago.
Yes, he has changed his car into more colours that you would associate with Leicester City. Simple blue and white, not black and orange and blue and white. We had a poll on Twitter. Jacko did this. I didn't know he was actually going to do this poll. But I spent the whole season saying that his regular livery, you can go watch back the last few races or just look on Twitter at JACKOCAR, and basically he says it's the Leicester City livery, and we've all said, or well, Jacko agrees it is. I've said it looks nothing like it, and the Twitter poll, the results are in on the Twitter poll, and let's just quickly get this up, let me milk the moment. 77% of people think that it looks nothing like the Leicester City football kit, and so as a result he's changed it to look like it. I'm sure he's feeling great about himself, not knowing what his own team's colours look like, but there you go. He's P2 now.
I thought we were including third kit and away kit as well, but never mind.
Well, I don't think anyone looks at it and associates it with Leicester, that's the problem. Now this is one of the chrome liveries. I don't know if this is one of the actual new Season 5 liveries for Dexter. I think it's Sunrise it's called. It looks quite nice actually. He's put a bit of green on there. You can't really see it too well in the light, but I reckon you'll see it a bit better in the race, and there's obviously a few other colours in it as well. And it has gone P4. So yeah, not too bad for him. Next up we've got Riley.
Validation.
Yes.
Riley, you may remember,
race winner here.
This race last season, yeah. And of course, we didn't see him across the line because all the action was behind him for the championship. Of course, Kyle lost that championship with his 5-second penalty. Yeah. And Jamie went on to win it.
We're going to take our eyes off him again now to watch. We're going to watch Red Matt, because Riley, well, as you've seen on the screens, now retired, so there was no real point watching him after he invalidated the lap. It was going to the end of the wall somewhere, and at the minute he'll be starting last on the grid. Anyway, Red Matt through the first sector. Still looking good on his time, being purple, although, like I say, most of the time it appears purple and then it ends up not being, but we'll follow him anyway as we head on board through the middle sector. Quite a meandering sector, but a good one. And you can see him losing the rear end, having to sort of get off the throttle for a second and correct himself.
Riley lost it.
Yep. And on the way down the hill, let's see what his middle sector's going to be like. It's not looking amazing for P1 at the minute, so I don't think he's going to get there. He might challenge for second, we'll see. But here he comes anyway. Red Matt up to the line, look for the time. It is P2, half a second off P1 though at the minute. It's looking good for Josh at the moment as we move on to, if I can ever find him, Risky.
Of course, Risky had his big Brazil moment here in Season 1 when he went straight across this corner and took out Khalifa.
I think there's a few people who might want to repeat that tonight to see if Khalifa's collapse will continue. Obviously last week was a bit of a complete disaster for him in Belgium.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wonder if we're going to be saying who was it. Arnold had a complete meltdown in Season 1. I wonder if Khalifa's sort of in the back of his mind thinking, I hope it doesn't go the same way, but it is at the moment, as Risky goes P5 in the end. So we can move on to Brandon. And we'll see how he can get on at the moment. He's second in the chase standings behind Kieran. So it's obviously close at the start. We'll see how the consistency is though. Only 1 point off him. And he might get a little toe here off Red Matt. In fact, he will get a very nice toe on the way up the hill. Look at that, that's beautiful, that is.
These are teammates as well. So
indeed, beautiful.
No, I say it's almost planned. Red Matt has to pit as per the rules. Brandon up to the line, and it goes P3, 1071. They're getting quicker, Owen.
They are indeed, but no one really getting close to Josh at the minute. Maybe it'll be for the main frontrunners to see what they can do. Kieran out there, like we say, the leader of the chase. All he's got to worry about is maintaining that lead, and we do think he's got the pace to do so. I reckon, honestly, if he'd been here all season, he might well have already been in the playoffs by now, but we'll see what he's like through this chase campaign as he heads to the end of the middle sector. Again, looking about on pace for P2, but no one getting near Josh at the minute. Josh looking really handy.
Well, yeah, at least 2 P5s in a row for Kieran. Can he get a good grid slot to make it maybe 3 P5s in a row? Top 5s in a row. P3. Yeah,
P3 at the moment then. So we move on then to Thomas. Is this
first of the playoff drivers?
Is this the day he falls out of the playoffs? So obviously being first of the playoff drivers out there, that must mean only one thing. He's bottom of the playoffs. Currently 3 points away from safety. So it's not a massive gap. If he has a good race tonight, he'll be through, but he tends to be a little bit inconsistent sometimes. You just never really know what TC you're going to get, or what Thomas you're going to get, sorry, because he won here in Season 1. So we know he's alright around here on his day, but this needs to be one of those days, and at the minute he's on about Jack Gooding's pace, which would be top 10 for now, but might struggle to stay there, so maybe not the best start already for him. But let's see where he goes. Crossing the line now, it is, yeah, P6. So, yeah, let's see where he ends up at the end. The other driver in immediate danger tonight, being 2 points off safety, Jake. And again, we know he's got a good result anyway, it's just about whether he can perform tonight.
You know what, Owen, I still believe Jake's got a win in him this season. I just hope he gets a chance to put it to good use and get himself out of the current situation he's in, which is the bottom 2 of the playoffs, and go deeper into the playoff system. But I'm not sure what he can do. Generally a good qualifier, but a potentially inconsistent driver when it comes to race results. Up to the line for Jake, it's P5.
Right, then next up is Cam, a driver who of course made it into the playoffs by a single point. So he'll be looking to try and stay there, maybe be a bit more secure tonight with his position. He shouldn't be too worried, I don't think, because we know what his consistency is like when he's on a good run. If he can just refine that form. It is all very situational though. It is one race can completely ruin your playoff campaign. That's sort of the whole pressure of it. You can't just have the one-offs, so he has to get back to that consistent form. As he crosses the line, still no one getting near Josh as Cam goes 8th place. Wonder if Paul McGuinness can do anything about it.
I was just about to say, Cam can pull out a top 5 if and whenever he wants, to be honest. He just needs things to go his way. But anyway, on to Paul McGuinness, as you say, Owen. That 91 car, he's had this all season long. It looks so good.
There has to be someone to challenge Josh, but again, Paul McGuinness is slow in the middle sector. It's not happening. You've had to bring up that stat, haven't you, about the fast people coming in and not doing well. Maybe it'll all fall apart in the race, but at the minute it looks pretty damn good for Josh, as Paul McGuinness goes 10th fastest.
Corey, here's a stat for you. Corey took pole in Spain season 1 and then crashed on lap 6, so hopefully that does something for you.
Well,
nice man.
Yeah, maybe we'll see that again, but let's just see how everyone else does. Let's see if they can all get up there and challenge as Iceman comes through the middle sector. It's a better middle sector. This is more like it. It should go P2 at the very least, and if he has a good final sector, you never know, it could even challenge P1. Let's see. P2 though should be in the bag with this. As he comes up towards the line, a little bit of derating as he goes, and it is P2. Just not close enough to P1
to Josh's
yet.
time. Of course, 5 months ago, Iceman was here fighting for the title. He ended up P4 overall.
Here's
the
Corey.
Big 5 then.
Yeah, Corey, who's left it late to get into the playoffs, but once he's got there, he's doing pretty well. Looking good to get through to that second round. He's already advanced actually, so no problems there.
He said before the qualifying session that he's going to get on the podium again. He did that last week and it worked.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a tactic.
Bribing the league owner. Interesting. But anyway.
Oh, it doesn't sound like something I would do.
No.
No, not at all.
Those allegations were ages ago anyway.
Yeah.
Now, here's Corey. 50.3 in the middle sector. A couple of tenths quicker than Iceman. We'll see what it's like compared to Josh though as he comes through. The DRS is enabled. He's got the rear end open. And he'll take the shortest route to the line, which will put him P2. Just under a tenth off. Now we're getting close. Now we're getting there. Jamie, in his purple colours.
This is the car that won the championship on November 26th of last year. The Season 2 champion. He's brought it back for this race only, the nostalgia purposes.
Yes, he's, well, hoping that's going to work out for him. I like the little streaks of blue on it as well. It is a very nice livery. Tidy stuff.
Yeah.
Much better than a Lotus, you know. But anyway, middle sector. He's on mediums, remember. You can see it on the graphic and on screen yourself. He'll be looking to try and sneak into the top 10 with us, but let's see. Yeah, we know he's done this tactic a few times before. Doesn't always work out, but if it does, it will pay off handsomely. Coming across the line, P8. Oh, he might just miss out. Depends on whether his top three mess their laps up, really, as Kyle heads through the middle sector.
He's brought back purple as well. You're a fan of this one, aren't you?
I do like this one, yes. It's a very nice looking livery. As he does a 51 dead in the middle sector. Doesn't look particularly fast, this one, for Kyle, actually. I do wonder where he's actually going to end up. Maybe if he falls behind Jamie, then yeah, that will just about get Jamie into the top 10 to start on the tires he wants to. And he is behind, he's 12th fastest. Oh. Nowhere near what his championship form was like last season when he was really fighting for it here. Nowhere near it. Now what about Arnaud? He's heading through. See how he gets on. He also had a complete mess to last time out. Luckily though was advanced. So it didn't really matter too much to him.
That's why playoff points are so important. If you get enough in the regular season, you don't have to worry too much in the postseason. Not in the first round at least. I
don't think this is going for P1 either, to be honest. I think he's going P3 with this maybe. We'll see. Comes across the line. Maybe he'll have a better final sector. Here he comes. Yeah, it's P3. Not really what he was hoping for. But what about Khalifa? Changing the colours. This is a bit old school, these colours. Back to season 1
livery, yeah.
And let's see if he can bring back some of the non-success. Well, he had some success, but he didn't win the title with it, sadly.
He lost it by 0.3 of a second, you'll remember.
Indeed. Just wasn't brave enough on that last lap. What was the worst that would have happened? He would have lost, or he would have lost, you know? Go for it. But he'll take lessons learned from that season 1 meltdown to maybe try and win it this season. But again, not looking at challenging Josh right now. Maybe looking at challenging Corey and Arnaud, unless, again, like I say, has a really good last sector. Looks to have saved a bit more ERS, so might actually get a really good look across the line. Might well make up a 10 for 2 here. But only goes P4, and that leaves Josh on pole.
Only by a 10th in the end, so not as big a gap as you were expecting.
It's a short track. Short lap time. It's done it.
And now, before we forget, it'd be a good time to mention that tonight's one and only joker is Pete, and the stage breaks are at lap 9 and lap 18.
So, the grid then. Josh from Corey, Arnaud, Khalifa, Iceman, Redmat, Kieran, Brandon, Jake, Jamie, Pete, Thomas, Cam, Kyle, Jack, Paul, Risky, Dexter, OKK, and Riley, the only one not to set a time because he invalidated. And 1.3 seconds to separate the whole field. Nice going. But like I say, we're heading into the race now. And now Jess did remind me that she'd be in the chat tonight. I can already see Jess is in the chat. So hello Jess, new PSGL commentary partner. Shouldn't be really plugging it, but you know, just saying. And oh, look at you! You're in the chat as well. Who would have seen that one coming? Oh, we've got Jack on Jack. We've got Jacks everywhere. Unbelievable.
Good name, I hear. So good. I've had it all my life.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You can't argue with that, can you?
Yeah, I haven't got a comeback for it. simple fact, unfortunately. Right then. No rain again. Feels like rain isn't really a thing anymore. It's been a while, hasn't it, since we had a wet race?
Did we have one rain-affected race, or was it a qualifying session?
We had a wet qualifying, I think, at some point. There was no wet races, I don't think. From what I can remember, it hasn't been recently anyway, definitely.
No.
But yeah, miss some rain. Just shakes it up a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, I know rain tends to actually lead to slightly more boring races, but you just never know in playoffs when it's a bit more tense. It could lead to some drama, but we're not saying rain anyway, so I don't know why I'm bothering to think about what would happen if we did. So let's just talk about what we've got, and that is 20 cars about to head off for their formation laps on a lovely dry track. And the tyres then. So Jamie, obviously, he qualified in the top 10 on mediums, so he gets to start on those. And Risky, the other driver, to start in the mediums. Everybody else is on the softs, including Pete, the Joker driver. You can see strategies on the screen now, although I do suspect that Pete probably can make soft to medium work on its own, but yeah, we'll see. And we've got Camo Babu in the chat as well, watching from the wings, looking to see his replacement, who's sitting on pole position, do well.
Camo Babu is here, much like Iceman, Kyle, Arnold, and who was it? The other one that we had fighting for a championship.
Name them again? Just
Iceman, Kyle, Arnold, Camo.
Well, you're only missing the champion, like, you know.
Oh yeah, Jamie. Yeah. So Arnold was one of those that was here 5 months ago fighting for a title. Not Arnold, Camo. Oh, I'm struggling here. Save me.
You can't save forgetting who the champion is.
Oh,
you list all the losers and not the champion. It's meant to be me that's making Jamie feel bad about existing, not you. Goodness sake. Oh well.
Jamie very much on form at the moment. He very big threat to defend his title. Something Pete couldn't do from season 1.
Indeed.
Didn't even have a chance at it, of course, with that crash in Canada. Jamie on his way, but that top 5, Khalifa, Arnold, Kyle himself, and Corey, one of those is going to miss out.
So, as usual, there's a couple who managed to get themselves disqualified on the out lap, on the formation lap. Don't know how they managed it, but it happens every week. But the rest of them now are lined up on the grid. What can Riley do from the back? We know how quick he is around here. He won here last season, so looking for him. Obviously, Paul McGuinness as well. Ahead of him, Kyle, Thomas Cam. A lot of big drivers, a bit lower down than you'd expect today. So will be quite an interesting race as a result of that, but we're waiting for the lights now. A very short run to turn 1, so this initial launch is going to be critical. We've got Josh on the left, and we've got Corey on the right. That's your front row. We're here in Brazil. Boogity boogity boogity. Let's go racing. Let's see us the best start. Looks like Arnold's pretty good actually, but where's he going to go? We're trying to go free wide into turn 1. Can Arnold sweep into the lead of the race? Yes, he can, I think. Brilliant driving. What a start. I said it'd be one off the line potentially into turn 1, and that's exactly what's happened. And now Corey's being swallowed up by the pack. You can see a few people having contact as well. Major accident here, I think, in season 1, if I remember correctly. Luckily though, they've avoided it this time, but someone's front wing's gone flying, and there's a few more as well. Lots of drivers going off the track. Thomas has a penalty for hitting Cam. That's 2 drivers in the playoffs colliding. We've got a virtual safety car. Might have actually been ILR we had that big accident. But either way, they're like crashing down in turn 3. Luckily they avoided it, but who else got damaged? Let's try and figure this out.
It's Red Matt, Kieran, Thomas, Dexter and Riley were the ones with damage.
Yes, that's a lot of carnage then, but we're going green again, and it's Arnold who leads the pack as he does so, squeezing through the middle of Josh and Corey and forcing his way through into the lead. Really good stuff that was, and let's see what he can do.
He's been missing all season. Arnold last week was the first driver to hit 500 career points, and he's looking to continue on that form as we head towards the end of lap 1, another lap led for the Belgian man.
Indeed. Right, and let's see. A few more people are losing time. Thomas is crawling back to the pit lane. I don't know if he's just letting people through, if he feels bad, if he feels he's the one who instigated some of the incidents there. But he's fallen right to the back and now he's pitted. Some of the gaps are messing me up, but certainly this one isn't. Khalifa is all over Corey. And let's see if he can try and get by into turn 4. Will he try running outside? A risky move. He's been put onto the grass by Corey, not letting him go easily. These two championship rivals, of course. Pete already, by the way, up to P6 on his Joker strategy. A good start for him and Kieran. Kieran will be feeling a bit threatened by that, leading the chase, but he knows that Pete, well, he's ahead of him. He needs to be the lead chase driver. Because, like I say, the comeback story waiting to happen. Maybe this is where it begins for Pete, but long way to go. And it's not lap 3, it's lap 2. Again, Codemasters said they fixed this. Look out for blue flags somewhere. I'm sure they'll find 1 or 2 of them as well. There's probably 1 or 2 on that first lap that we missed out on, but yeah. Oh, good news, by the way. They leaked some details on F1 2021. Yes. It's exactly the same. But I believe they've got the full F2 2020 season as Kieran, it is Kieran Pitts. They have the full F2 2020 season on there, and that means we'll be able to race it with yellow next season. Okay? I'm looking forward to that. Unless they, decide they're not going to add Mugello for whatever reason. They've got no reason not to. It was on the calendar last year, but anyway, that's a front wing change for Kieran. And we're going to have OKK and Jack in the pit. And we're on to lap 3, and we've now got DRS. But yeah, like I say, those F1 2021 leagues, what have you got to say about them?
I was just going to say, I did pick up on they've got fully customisable cars. Now, I'm hoping that genuinely means fully, because the liveries we've been given and the templates we've been given this season is just very below par. All these drivers are a lot more creative than the templates you see, so it'd be good if they have total and full control of how to design their cars for the future.
Yeah, I mean, you see how GT Sport does it. I really do wonder why they don't adopt that system where you just have full reign. You get given a blank sheet. I mean, if you want a template, I'm sure they'll still have some, but yeah, I agree. They should have an option where you can, do whatever you want with it, as Kyle now pits as well. Lots of early pit stops in this race. A lot of people got onto mediums, a couple of people went onto the softs, but we've had half the field in the pits, and Brandon is being lapped now as he comes out of the pits. That must be a second pit stop he's taken. It is. So he's going to the end, I'll assume. I mean, good luck with that, but he's going to have to let everyone through first. He needs a safety car badly, and even at that, he can't unlap himself. That's effectively his day done.
He's right in the way there, isn't he? I did wonder for a second if Iceman was going to let Pete go, but it's just going to cause hassle for Brandon and Pete and Iceman himself, and everybody behind is going to benefit. So Iceman doing the right thing and keeping that P5 slot rather than helping his teammate, for now at least.
So, is Josh going to go for it early on R9? Is he going to be patient? Because he certainly looks pretty fast at the minute. I do have a feeling if he got by, he'd pull away nicely. Also, again, by the way, we're pointing out that obviously with Brandon being lap everyone, it means he is going to probably not get any big points today. He sits second in the chase. That's a bad sign. And you got Kieran, he's only made 1 pit stop in plenty of free air as well. 4.4 seconds of it. It's not a good sign for Brandon. He's going to fall way behind. So, yeah. He's just going to keep going, hope he can get a few positions through retirement as Josh has a look on the inside at Arnold. Would have been surprised if he went for that one, but it is JACKOCAR. You never know what moves he'll go for. If that wasn't maybe a first timer, if that was Corey in that position, I reckon he probably would have got through. But, yeah. Getting used to the JACKOCAR ropes, maybe Josh there, and not wanting to go for it and blow it too early.
Josh has been made well aware of the situation of all 20 drivers at the moment. They're all still in contention to win the title, so I don't think he wants to upset the apple cart as such. But, Owen, we do lose 2 drivers after tonight's race. We'll be eliminated.
Indeed. Thomas obviously sitting at the back of the field at the moment, trying to get by Riley. We don't know what the pit stop situation will be. I'd rather wait until we're all done with those, as we have yellows, someone's crawling round. It's OKK to come back on now. Like I say, we'll try and update you on the situation as Thomas goes past, and there's a bit of contact. I can see the leaders are wanting to pit, or at least one of them are. What a great battle that is. Riley says ahead of Thomas, but it is Arnold into the pits. So we'll wait until all these pit stops are over with until we can start doing the numbers, because it is too early to figure out who's going to be knocked out yet. Khalifa all over the back of Corey, but no real way through. Let's see what sort of space Arnold comes out into. Should be pretty clean here. And it is indeed. Yellows, that is Brandon letting pretty much the whole field through now.
The only good thing for Brandon is he's got another 4 races to try and get himself out of this situation. The good thing is, as well, he's second in the chase at the moment, so he shouldn't lose as much in points terms to everyone else, but if Kieran gets one good result, I think he's away.
Well, let's see the leaders then. Are they going to pit? Josh setting his fastest lap of the race so far. So he's really pushing to try and do the overcut here. Using what's left of his soft tires, which should still be pretty fresh. And I do wonder if he's going to just put his foot down now and really start setting some fast laps. He lost some time in the last sector, but those softs should still have a good flying lap or two in them, to be honest. Normally, if it was a one-stop race, you'd want to get them about 13 laps in, something like that, so that's what you maybe would expect from Pete. So those tyres, they should be alright. We'll see if an overcut works. Corey is in the pits now, and you'll see Arnold's already passed him into turn 1. So I'm sure the undercut will still work out fine, but I do just wonder if Josh can put his foot down, because I know he was pretty quick in quali. But we'll keep you up to date as it all unfolds.
Just looking at Pete, he can still see the race leader, which is great news for him, providing nothing untoward happens. No safety cars, no dodgy VSCs. If he can put it all together, he can get his first win since season 1.
Well, this is it. I think for a lot of the season, Pete's probably been looking for safety cars to try and get him back into the action, but this might well be the only race where he does not want to see a safety car or even a virtual safety car pop up at any moment. Unless he's about to pit or in the pits already. Any other situation, it's a no-go. Don't pit him. Because he needs us to be green the whole way to the checkered flag, because that will give him the best chance of winning the race. Because right now, yeah, as you can see, he still sees the leader. That means he's got a pretty massive gap ahead of them when they make their second stops.
Sure, and of course if you've got to make a second stop, you're doubling your chance of making an error on pit lane entry or pit lane exit, getting caught in extra traffic that you didn't account for. So Pete, halving those problems, he's in a very good place at the moment. Josh is starting to extend that gap a little bit, but it's not ridiculously big.
So let's just look quickly at the drivers here on the bubble lane, because I've seen that Carabel was wanting to have a know of that, because obviously it's Jake and it's Thomas, and they are both, aren't they, behind the rest of the playoff drivers at the minute. Even yes. Kyle, who's already pitted, but you can see that Jake's all the way back of Kyle. So, you know, there's plenty of places to be made. The one you would be worried about right now would be Thomas, because he's in the middle of nowhere. Riley made a second pit stop and he's now being lapped. He's having the same treatment as Brandon's getting. But he is trying to unlap himself, look, trying to go by Cam. Not too sure how the game feels about this. We know he's been known for getting his penalties in the past, but that was more of a revenge thing for Corey in Austria.
Yeah, remember that one.
Yeah. But like I say, Thomas is possibly in a bit of trouble. We'll see. The night could unfold in many different ways. We could lose a few drivers ahead of him in the playoffs and he could be right back into it. So, yeah, Khalifa comes out of the pits. He is ahead of Corey. So he's got a good gap to him as well, over a second. But Corey, with his more heated up tyres, should be able to get back into that gap. But yeah, Khalifa 2.1 behind Arnold. Josh might worry about being undercut now by him, but we'll see. We'll see. I do wonder when he's going to pit Josh. I do hope he remembers, obviously, that it is a 2-stop mandatory thing. I'm sure he will.
I'm pretty sure I told him. It was this morning when I spoke to him.
Yeah,
but if he stays out, he will pick up the first stage point.
No.
Will nick it. No, he won't. So Josh will get that.
It'll be close. It'll be close. But he does just about get it.
Yes, he does.
So Iceman might hold him up here, but doesn't quite. That's a lucky break for Josh. He was so close, Iceman, to blocking him there. As he puts mediums on. They both put mediums on. Here comes Arnold into turn 1. Like I say, overcut was probably what Josh was trying, but I don't think it's going to work. And indeed it hasn't. Khalifa, I think, is going to get him as well. So that really hasn't worked out. But it does,
going to be on the back of him.
It does open up Josh's strategy later on. Just having those marginally fresher tyres just means he could extend that a little bit, go for sauce at the end. I don't know if Khalifa and Arnold are thinking of sauce, but certainly Josh might be. but we'll see how it all pans out. Too early to really tell at the moment. So we'll let it play out. Yellows. Jack has binned it on the pit lane exit, has he? Now looks like he's binned it in the pits. No, he's binned it. Oh, he's just binned it through turn 2, actually. But it looked like the pit lane exit. But yeah, what will Pete do? Out there, you are allowed to pit on the virtual safety car. Like I say, it's the only time you'd wanted to come out of your pit, so you can pit. And I think he's going to stay out, but I actually would have pitted if I was him. It must be about to go green, like now. If he wasn't, surely you'd pit. It's a one-stopper, you'd probably get medians somewhat close to the end. Maybe he's just not confident enough about them. Because we aren't going green. Not yet, but...
Pete, who would have done his research, he knows how far he can push these soft tyres, so...
Now this
setup allows for that.
This, as we go green now, okay, he's got a drive-through penalty. I'm just saying, this is bad news for the people on the bubble, because Paul McGuinness is one of the drivers that got to pit in all this, as was Cam. And they're both in the drivers directly in front of Jake and Thomas, and they're both well clear of them now. You can see there, Cam has come out and Paul has come out ahead of Jake. And Iceman too. He's just behind Jake, or just behind Cam, but he doesn't really mind too much. He's ahead of the people he needs to be ahead of. And so that means Jake and Thomas in particular, Thomas really in trouble. Jake gonna have to do some work. So he's really gonna have to get his foot down. That is bad news at VSC.
Indeed, I just wanted to point out as well, Pete, who is staying out again, is leading his first laps this season.
Yeah.
And a message and communication from Mr. Gooding saying he... Hold on. Car veered to the left on the X turn 2. He's never seen anything like it.
Just turn right.
To overtake Dexter. Yeah, well, you make it sound so simple.
It is.
But that's what happened to Jack. Okay, I think has left for family reasons. Maybe he has some sort of appointment to go to. So it's not a surprise because he did retire in the pit lane.
Yes.
He just 18.
He got the penalty though, didn't he, as well for the VSC? So his race was over anyway. Oh, that's out of the race, and it's Josh. Virtual safety car. OKK's car, it didn't ghost. It nearly took Khalifa as well. I'm wondering if Khalifa got front wing damage. We were riding on board with Josh as that happened, or was it Corey that was involved? They're both okay, but yeah, Josh, that is some of the worst luck you've ever seen, or at least I've ever seen. And your thing does continue, but it is a P18 finish.
Not a P19, yeah.
Not
so
P19.
Actually, for a newbie, he's done quite well there.
I do apologise for anyone who's watching the stream. They're probably confused as to why I'm so not surprised at that accident in the slightest. I was on board with him, so you could see it coming from a mile away. Somehow Josh didn't see it. I guess that's him falling victim to the no ghosting thing. But oh well, out of the race on his debut. Yeah.
This race ends how many big name debuts have ended in the past as well as the list we referred to at the start of the session. Owen, Corey,
here comes. Sorry to interrupt. We got
Right.
Jake there. He's just, this is important for him because it puts him now one car behind Paul McGuinness. That move on Kyle on the VSC restart. But yeah, go back to what you were saying.
Yeah, just reiterating that the likes of Corey, Janel, Mata, Louis Delatraz, Dom Smith, all big names, all crashed or had a disqualification on their debut. Josh just joins that list. It seems to be a curse within the league.
Yeah. A shame that. And there's another thing I say. I don't know if Pete was in a position to pit in that VSC, but either way, he stayed out. Lap 13
he was
in
a
the
little
race.
bit too far back, Owen. Sorry, I was on board with him. He was too far back before the VSC cleared itself, so he never made it to the pit lane. But
yeah.
Pete will certainly be smiling
Virtual.
now.
Oh, that's a disaster for Pete.
You won't be smiling now.
I don't actually know what that's for, that VSC. Has OKK's car gone all the way back round or something? Because whose car is that coming out of the pits? Because I don't think anyone retired in the pit lane in the last few minutes. It's Arnold, by the way, makes his second stop.
Yeah, it was a late call as well. He only just about made it in.
I think Jake's in the pits as well. Big call that for him, but we've just gone green, so he might not make that much of a gain of it actually. But still, he has to do something to stay in the playoffs, and that's what he's decided he wants to do.
At this point, Owen, It is in Pete's hands at this point.
Well, this is it. People are confident enough to go for a second stop now, and they're pretty sure those tyres are going to go to the end of the race. So Pete knows that the tyres can go to the end of the race, and sure, he's prepared for this one. He knew this is his big chance to get himself up into the playoffs, or into the Championship 5. Get a win here, you're in a good position. But let's see, as he heads up the hill.
He's got to be in this lap. He has to be in this lap.
He's going full send on the overtake mode. And so he's actually still pushing. I thought that was him just preparing to pit. Blow
His
your
tyres are at 55% all round.
I mean, he's got time to play with. 12.8 seconds, that's a genuine gap he's got to maintain. But, yeah.
What's the gap to Arnaud? Sorry. The gap to Arnaud is 31 seconds. So it'll be about 11 seconds, roughly, once Pete makes his stop. And then he's really got to think about it. But Pete's tyres will be fresher, so he needs no mistakes on the way in. He just needs to keep his head, do what he didn't do in Canada.
Worth pointing out that Jamie's out there on softs. Only if that's all those softs, so he can probably do 2 sets of softs to the end of the race. And he's just got by Corey, now chasing after Khalifa. He's looking pretty quick. Could be a challenge to Pete again. Someone trying to disturb another Joker victory. He likes doing this, doesn't he, Jamie?
He does.
Comes alive when it's time to ruin someone's Joker. But, yeah, let's see. Will Pete decide to pit this lap? Half a second down his best time. So it's not that slow, actually. It's pretty consistent stuff. But he does have to pit at some point.
Remember, you don't get 5 playoff points for winning a race in the playoffs. But if you win your Joker race, you do get those 5 playoff points. Pete will be looking at a big haul of 25 points tonight if he can pull it off. 109, fastest lap for J-Luke.
Yeah, he's into DRS, well into DRS of Khalifa. Really enjoying the track at the minute. And trying to get himself up into second place. Arnaud, by the way, is now caught to the back of Kieran and Risky. Obviously, depending on how long he gets stuck here, could depend, could decide his race, because he did make a couple of seconds up under that last VSC making the second stop. But losing that time behind these guys is not really part of the script, and I'm sure he's aware that he has to get by them quickly, just so that he's still in a good position for later on.
His teammates is Risky. He'll be feeding this information back to him. Race leader knows he's got his allies out there.
Obviously, this is an advanced driver, so he's not necessarily, in massive trouble if he doesn't get a result here, as Pete pits, but he still doesn't want to get stuck behind. But yeah, like I say, Pete in the pit lane. We'll get to see his gap to Arnaud when he comes out. He's going obviously for the medium compound tyre. Only real sensible option there was the hards. There's absolutely no point in that, and another set of softs we need to have to pit again, so medium's his only option. And we'll see where Arnaud is. In fact, we're right on board with Arnaud to see if he can get himself past Kieran. Kieran, who might well fight us a bit harder since he is trying to stay top of the chase, but down the inside, Arnaud actually gets the move done pretty easily in the end. And Pete, I believe, is that heading down into turn 4. So it's about 10 seconds. About 10 seconds to gap. Arnaud, can he get by Risky? Nope. Not yet.
And Pete's tyres are 5 laps fresher than Arnaud's.
Yeah. So that is Union Joker.
3 laps, my apologies.
Fresher is fresher. And the only man on the Joker there, Pete, is now sitting, what is it, 6 seconds off the race lead? It's looking pretty.
Everybody else yet to pit.
6.7 seconds off. The guys ahead yet to pit and are side by side as Jamie, with those softs, passes and gets himself into clean air. Like I say, Jamie will be the main factor, the main challenger, I reckon, to Pete today. It does make sense. He'll be sauced pretty much all the way to the end of the race. So, it does seem like a shame not to be Jamie. Will he ruin another Joker's day? Stay tuned to find out.
It was about this lap in November when the only safety car come out in the championship race. That was Risky, who spun at turn 4.
Of course, a safety car now wouldn't be the end of the world for Pete, as long as Jamie hadn't pitted yet. But He's still going to be too happy to have Arnold close to him, so I think he'll still be begging for no safety cars. He's going to accept nothing except a victory. Simple as.
100%.
So, yeah, he's just got to, keep it clean and see if it comes to him. Right now he's in a bit of a helpless position, but at the same time he's in the best position. It's a bit of a tense moment for him, as we are only halfway through the race. That's plenty of time to get it all wrong. And with the season he's having, you just never know. But on to lap 19 now. Second half of the race has begun. At the minute, we're still seeing Thomas sitting in P15. The winner here in Season 1 is looking like he's about to crash out of the playoffs on the first hurdle, because he's just in no man's land. Has he made a second stop or something, or is he just... Nah, he's the lowest driver who's made one stop. It's not good. And Jake is ahead of Kyle only because Kyle's pitted and he has to have made 2 stops. He has, so he might still have an alright chance here of getting up ahead. Very interesting.
Top 7 all still need a pit, don't forget.
Yeah.
I've just been running the numbers, Owen. It's been 37 races since Pete last stood on the top step in JACKOCAR.
Jeez.
37 races.
I was only probably a child back then.
Yeah.
So, oh dear.
Nearly a year.
Well,
it would be a year in seasons terms.
Well, you've gotta win at some point. You see, I reckon it's ever since he came down to karting and was a bit gloaty. It's
Look at my trophy.
Look at my trophy. I'm better than you. Oh, I'm 18th in the standings. But you know. Oh well.
Yeah,
maybe
gets past risky, by the way, into turn 1.
He's got to regain his crown at some point, as Kieran has to defend, because obviously passing into turn 1 gives Risky the DRS into turn 4, and he's taken that and accepted P9 back once again. But yeah, we know he's got the pace, and yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what he can do with it. Just don't bin it. That's the big worry with him, because he can spontaneously bin it. So just don't do that, and he might just win the race. What about Jamie? Is he going to pit anytime soon? Not at the moment. He'll want to wait a couple more laps, I imagine. But he would be the first one to pit, I'd imagine, out of this group. Or it could be the last one to pit, actually, considering he's going to have to do a shorter stint at the end on better tyres and, you know, go quali laps every lap. But we'll see.
I'm just intrigued by this battle for P5 at the moment. Cam with 1 lap fresher tyres over Iceman, but they're right next to each other, both playoff drivers as well. This could be an important point.
Could be indeed.
Round 2, round 3.
Just saying, Kieran's now completed the move on Risky, and the exact same thing happened to him on the last lap's happened to him this lap. Maybe just wait until turn 4 to go for your move, Kieran, and you'll get it done. I'm sure he'll have worked it out eventually by now, but yeah. I can see Jack he's still in the chat. He's convinced his car just went left on its own. So he's either going to blame the game or the controller. I've had many issues with...
He wants a bit of Cup Series, I tell you.
I've had many issues with my pad before, and that, to be fair, is one of them. Where it just decides it doesn't want to respond to anything, but yeah, that was an F1 2018 problem. Didn't think it was still on this game, but I guess Codemasters do copy-paste it every year, don't they? And look at this, Khalifa's all over the back of Jamie, by the way. This is not going to really go into either of these two's plans. Surely they're just going to want to sit back and make sure, do any fighting at the end with Pete when you're trying to beat him, as Iceman gets through on the inside of turn 1 on Cam. Is he going to pull the same trick as Pete gets a penalty? Don't bottle it now, lad.
What now, Pete?
Will Cam pull the same trick that Kieran, or that Risky's been pulling on Kieran? He just doesn't have enough ERS to do it, but he was closing. Speaking of which, Kieran hasn't got through at turn 1, but it's too far back to get through at turn 4 as well.
Yeah, just going back to the problem you mentioned with the pad, it's obviously you've suffered from it. Remember, I crashed out in the charity race in October, just gone. And also, Paul McGuinness at Zandvoort last season, yeah, hunting down P3 at the time. So it is a genuine problem.
Right then, we're on lap 22 out of 36. We're still yet to see some pit stops from most of the front runners in this race. And Jamie stays out. Khalifa goes for the undercut, and Corey follows him in. So yeah, Jamie does want to just get a little bit further on this stint so we can properly go for it at the end of the race and make sure he still has some tyres on the final few laps, because that's what's going to be crucial. They will all be aware of Pete's penalty, and that's going to give them all some encouragement that they can win this race, even though they're not on the Joker and it looks like a near impossible task. You'll see how far they're falling down. You'll see how far ahead Arnoud's going to be of them, or at least of Corey. Actually, the gap to Khalifa's not that big. So, yeah, there's a few guys that are going to be chasing others down. Arnoud will be chased down. Pete will be chased down.
Yeah.
Jamie, in this stint, since Pete's come out of the pits, has still been pulling away from him. So, that gap in reality is about 11 seconds, and you add the penalty on. So this will be a fascinating end to the race. And Corey got...
Sorry, go on.
I'm just saying, Corey got stuck behind Risky on his way out of the pits, so he's going to have to try and dispatch him really quickly, because that's just holding him back so much. And I think he's going to try and go for it now. Round the outside, and he'll cut to the inside. Just don't break your car as Jamie pits to cover the undercut there. Like I say, we're still pulling away from Pete, so I imagine you'll still have the pace for one more lap to not get completely undercut. But let's see if Corey can get by Risky up the hill. Like I say, he's really got to get this one done quickly to not get caught behind for too long. But he's already lost about a second, and well, Risky's pulled up into the pit lane. But here comes Jamie out of the pit lane. Pete is into
Paul McGuinness when he comes out.
Into the legitimate race lead.
He's way ahead, is Paul.
Yep, he's going to be side by side with Khalifa, and Khalifa just pulls ahead. So they're both going to now have to chase down Arnoud, both on some fresh softs. Corey will be cutting them down as well. Gap to leader, 10 seconds. Let's see how quickly they can close it down. If they can close it down. Pete, will he rue that penalty? I have a feeling he might well do so, you know. Because even if they don't pass him, as long as they're within 3 seconds, it's been said so many times, it's not about catching them, it's about passing them. And if you remove the whole passing element, yeah, it is a lot easier to win these races. And yeah, I have a feeling that there might be a little bit of regret coming in here for Pete, who will be seeing a chance to win a race. And do you know what? With 3 of these guys all so close, might not even be a podium. But let's see how it all pans out. Let's not draw any conclusions yet. Let's just wait and see how it all goes and see how much infighting happens in this little train. As Khalifa closes in on Arnoud. I don't think there's much point in Arnoud resisting this much, because he's on much older and slower tyres, as Khalifa sets the fastest up of the race as he passes into P2 and can now chase down the race leader. Only has to make 5.6 seconds in 12 laps. Seems pretty doable to me.
And I'll tell you, if there's going to be any man who's going to stop Pete from winning, it's going to be his arch nemesis from Season 1, Khalifa.
Indeed.
You stole my championship, but I'm going to steal your chances of making Championship 5 this season, says Khalifa. That gap is dropping immediately, Owen.
Yeah, that seems inevitable, that one, doesn't it? Here comes Jamie, by the way. He's going to launch one at the inside of Arnoud and get up to P3 as well. So Arnoud's gamble to pit under that VSC for some mediums when he could have went for softs later on doesn't look like it's going to work out for him.
It's too early, wasn't it?
It was just too early. They'll get to the end, but with what pace, you know? There's just nothing he can do.
Last week he was ruined by the 2 VSCs. I think he tried to take too much advantage this week. It hasn't. It's backfired. Less of a mistake. He won't be making the podium.
So everyone's made their pit stops, by the way, now, so we can have a look at the championship and decide what's going to be happening. The 2 people in danger are Jake, who's trying to get by Paul McGuinness and Kyle, so we could still make some points up here. But Thomas is the lowest driver of the playoff drivers. You can see he's 26 seconds off the nearest car. It's almost a certainty he's going to be out of the playoffs tonight. It's just who joins him. Iceman and Cam are nicely ahead of Jake right now, so even, you know, Paul McGuinness, it's a 6-point clearance he's got. It'll take some drive for Jake to actually get out of these playoffs. Or through the next round of it. So it does feel like we sort of know where this is going, but you just never know. A late safety car could throw it all into some chaos.
Well, they're pretty much running in the order that they stand at the moment. It's Thomas, it's Jake, and then it's Cam, Paul and Iceman.
Yeah.
So Jake and Thomas just simply aren't doing enough, and they're going to be on their way out of the playoffs.
Like I say, late safety car, you never know. I mean, there's a a good old scrap ahead. I mean, still Iceman and Cam. They could have some sort of disaster trying to get by Riley, perhaps. But we'll see. Iceman should get by him pretty easily. I think Riley, there's no point in blocking this all off. Although he is. He's got Iceman on the grass, and he still managed to try and go around the outside of him. And that could be contact into 2. Looking for the front wing coming off. I think he's alright. He's got away with it. But here comes Cam. He's got a superb run. And like I said, this goes wrong. It's their playoffs at risk. As Cam launches up the inside himself now of Riley. And Iceman tries to cut back across and go up the inside. But Cam now ahead of Iceman. And there's still contact happening. Riley, is he going to dive up the inside? No, he's not. But I don't get it. What is Riley's problem? Did these two affect his race?
Think back to China when Iceman gave Riley a bit of wing damage on the last lap.
I think Riley's just a bit ridiculous, isn't it? If he's going to be starting holding grudges, but well, it might just work out in Jake and Thomas's favour. You just never know. Riley loves holding his grudges.
It is the cars that Riley is sandwiched between are the three cars that Jake and Thomas are worried about. That Cam, Iceman, and Paul.
Surprised there's been no penalty after Riley actually for the blocking. He's got a whole lap of blocking and he hasn't got anything for it, but there you go. By the way, Jamie all over the back of Khalifa and he wants to go down the inside.
Oh, Riley spins.
Oh, look at that contact between second and third. Pete will want to hear more of that. Will Khalifa try and launch back up the inside? There's no point fighting. Get within your 3 seconds first. And then you can do it, because at the minute they still have 3 seconds to find.
I don't know why they don't help each other and tow each other to P. That's the only way they're going to do it. Fighting is not the way to get up to P1. J-Luke, though, I'll tell you what, he's on a bit of form at the moment, isn't he?
Indeed. Now we've got Kieran just fall behind Risky, by the way. Down to P12. Not been the strongest race from Kieran. Obviously, if whatever position Pete gets today, it should be in the top 5 realistically. So it'll still be a really helpful day in his campaign to try and get himself into that Championship 5, even if he doesn't get the win. Sitting 9 points off Kieran at the minute, so he might well have a chance of going right up there. If he wins it, what's it, 25 points he'd get? So, you know,
20 for the win and 5 for the Joker win.
So, you know, he'd still be up there, even if he doesn't win it, I think. But we'll obviously wait and see what happens.
Oh, sorry, Kieran on Risky as they battle down towards turn 1, and the tiniest bit of contact made at Risky's rear left tyre.
Right, this is Kieran's opportunity. He's in the perfect position. He's got the DRS. A simple move now to get back ahead, and he's not got enough DRS for it. Man, that's frustrating. And he doesn't want to risk it on a dive bomb, which could end in damage. Mind you, he'd only lose really 1 position for it, in fairness, but that 1 position could be vital. You just never know.
The driver in the chase is Risky, the 11, the top 10. Oh, incorrect, isn't it?
Well, it's Pete, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course. 9 of the top 10 are playoff drivers, and then Pete. I'm so used to seeing him as one of the lead guys. It's good to have him back up there.
It is weird that he isn't.
Still has the gap.
It's weird that we're sitting there saying Pete's 18th in the championship. You're thinking, what? Yeah. What are you on about? That's the situation.
Right. 1.5 is his lead.
Yeah.
Here goes Kieran again on Risky.
I can see how this one's going to end, because we've seen this happen so many times where Kieran's got by and the DRS overtake on the turn 4 will get Risky back ahead. Is he going to be close enough though? Let's see. He's done this so many times in the race already, Risky. And he's closing in. Look at the slipstream he's got. Look at the ERS he's got. Look at the DRS he's got. Look at the overtake he's managed to complete. Down the inside. Will Kieran fight it? He's trying, but the same result again. He's still got his nose on the inside though. That's a risky one up the hill. But Risky has left the space for him. It's good, fair racing this.
Great racing from these two.
Look at that. Look at that. He's cut back on there, Risky. That's really nice stuff there. Good racecraft. And look at him on the exit. They're wheel binding. Corey, by the way, has got back RNRG. Would have expected that on the tyres. That was inevitably going to happen at some point. I don't want to cut off this fight because I've been side by side the whole lap, but I'm noticing that Khalifa's only half a tenth. Or not half a tenth, sorry, half a second off Jamie, and it closed down a little bit. I'm going to say nothing's going to happen, but let's just have a wee check anyway, just in case. No, nothing is going to happen. Jeez.
I did See, J-Luke's gap got down to 3.6 and then it went back up to 4.1, so he lost a bit of time in that, I assume, sector 3 at the time it would have been. Risky gets past Kieran into turn 1. Well, Kieran locks up, but you know he's going to come back at him.
Here he goes then. Let's try the ERS trick. I do wonder if Risky's just running lower wings in general, which means he's able to fight back a lot easier down the straight. I don't know, but yeah, Kieran, he just can't quite manage it into turn 4. And Jamie is moments away from taking lead, and there he has. He's taken the race lead. Just think, without that penalty, it would have been such a tight finish. But you know what? He can't just sit back. I'm saying that we're not going to get a fight. He cannot just sit back, because if he does that, then Khalifa's going to be passing him. So he might still find himself reluctantly having to catch Pete. And that's where mistakes can come into play. How about their warnings? Let's quickly have a look at that. See how close we're getting to penalties. Jamie has only got 1 warning. Khalifa has got 2. And he's trying to get by into turn 4, but there's no way through. Kieran, you'll never guess what he's trying to do. We'll see this in a second. Here's Khalifa trying to go around the outside. He's managed to give it up before there's an accident. Kieran has done what? Yeah, you'll never be able to guess what's going to happen. Here he goes. It's like, oh dear. I'm sure there's some great stats, and they're making loads of overtakes in the race at least, but it's just on each other.
We'll get their TAS up after the race, and we'll see how it is.
I'm sure the numbers will be fantastic. But poor Kieran, he just cannot get it done.
Great respect between those two though, really good racing.
Well, they're used to this routine now, aren't they? So I'm sure they don't mind it too much. Yeah. Let's see how Khalifa and Jamie handle this, because they're going to try the same routine. Jamie tried to fight it more through turn 1. You see, Risky tends to back it off through turn 1 and go for it again on that straight. And Jamie, that's what he should have been doing. But again, there's no time to just sort of sit back. They're still closing on Pete. They'll be within his DRS probably in a while. Are they going to have to force themselves to fight Pete just to stop fighting each other and keep their wins? That's going to be a really interesting dynamic. And you know what? Corey's only 1.4 seconds behind all that as well. That's going to be really close at the end of this race. And here comes Risky. Is he going to do it again, Risky? Oh, no way.
Yes. Deja vu.
Ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
I was just going to say, Khalifa is on the verge of 10 race wins in JACKOCAR. Jamie got his 5th last week. Pete is on 3. He's not won in 37 races. And Corey, he's got 1 to his name. One of those is going to be the winner today. As we come up to the line with 3 to go.
Only one of this top 4 can do it. And they're all getting closer and closer. And it is the thing. I'm telling you about man, Khalifa really does not want to catch. He does not want to catch Pete. Because it'll be such a mess. He's going to hope he can catch to the point where he's in DRS but doesn't quite have to overtake so he can try and get some of the gains. But I just don't see how he would not get any gains on him, because he's on fresher tyres. And look at the lapped cars as well in front of him.
Riley is the next car, followed by Brandon.
Oh my goodness, this is... Can we add an extra 3 laps onto this? Because, you know, that would be... Oh, they're going to have to figure out a lot of difficult decisions here in a very short period of time. Meanwhile, Red Matt's about to join this fight with Kieran and Risky. Risky, he's pulled that same routine.
He's just done another one.
It has to be the 7th or 8th time now he's done it in this race. It could even be more. It could be an every lap thing. We're just not seeing it every lap. But now Red Matt's going to show him how it's done, possibly. And look at Khalifa, only half a second behind Pete now. And Pete will love the chance to fight them, just to slow them down a bit, pressure them into having accidents, maybe try and get a podium, because right now he's not going to finish on the podium. He doesn't want to be too slow or too, silly, because if it goes very wrong, he'll lose out on a top 4. He's going defensive. He's put him on the grass!
Push Khalifa.
Penalty for Khalifa. That's exactly what he was wanting to see. And Pete has done it all by himself. That's going to fire Khalifa up real bad. And he's going to want to get straight by Jamie now. And there was those 2 warnings. I said we had 2. The 3rd one, straight penalty. Oh my goodness. Meanwhile,
still on one warning.
let's just quickly cut to the others just to make sure that Risky's keeping it up every lap. Oh, it's a tight one this time. Oh,
down the inside.
they're gonna hit each
Not
other.
quite.
No, he's failed. Right, back to the front. Look how close they are. They're half a second between the top three. And
Corey's in this now as well.
Khalifa's probably the angriest of the three, and he's probably going to have the best run of the three. Final laps about to get underway, ladies and gentlemen. Corey's not quite in DRS range. Pete defends to the inside. Is he going to do the same trick as he did? Yes, he is. And off the track goes Jamie. That can give Corey the opportunity to win the race now. He's into the net race lead. But Khalifa going right round the outside. These two penalties and it's contact. Khalifa will be fuming at this. He's going to hit back, is he? And I reckon Pete's going to have him off the track again. He sees a victory going down the drain. But Khalifa is desperate to get by, and Corey's all the way up the inside as well. He's had to back it off. I can't believe Pete's managing this, but he's saving a podium as it stands. Corey into the inside. He's got a penalty too. No, Jamie's back in the lead again, but he's going to catch up as well. Pete, if I were you, I'd put the anchors right on. Down the inside goes Corey. They collide. Broken front wing for Khalifa, and he's through to second place. Corey, he's a furious man. They're all furious. Jamie's going to win this race somehow. Don't quite know how he's managing this, but he's going to win.
He
and
came
Jamie,
here 5 months ago to win a title, and now he's within Pete, Corey and Khalifa's penalty window. Jamie looks like he's going to win in Brazil. Owen Wyatt, what a race.
What a finish. Pete really had to get his elbows out just to try and save the podium, and he managed it. He did just about manage it. Jamie wins the race from Pete, Corey and Khalifa, and RNI completes the top 5. And I do the funniest thing, do the best thing. The guy that Pete attacked the most was the one that still got the win anyway. So I don't really think there was much for the stewards to look at there, to be honest. The others were sort of, okay, it's bad, but you know, they stayed close. Jimmy was the only particularly bad one, and he won the race. So you know what, Pete, he might well just have a chance of holding on to that. If he gets any sort of a penalty, then, well, it's a second between him and 5th. So it could affect him badly, but as it stands, it's a good. As it stands, good day for him in the playoffs. Cam is 6th, Iceman is 7th, Paul and Kyle mean that we lose.
Jake and Thomas
and Thomas. Yeah, they are out of the playoffs now officially. I don't think any penalty is going to stop that one. So those two are out of the playoffs, and still a bit of fighting as they head across the line. Kieran, believe it or not, did actually beat Risky in the end.
Wow.
So there you go. There you go.
Jamie is the first driver to sweep a playoff round. He wins both playoff races in the round of 10. Whew. Amazing.
Well, I know the stewards are going to have a fun time tonight because there will be some very angry people. But you know what? It was entertaining, and that's what we asked for. We knew it was going to happen. Like I say, getting the penalty was a bad thing for Pete, but it was great for us because we knew he was going to get really aggressive with it, and yeah, somehow the others didn't see it coming. They didn't want to catch him. I'm sure they didn't want to catch him, but they had no choice. I think even if they hadn't caught them, Pete would have just slowed down. But there you go. Jamie wins the race from Pete. We'll see if he stays there. Corey, Khalifa, Arnold, Cam, Iceman, Paul and Kyle. And like I said, that does mean that Jake is out of the playoffs. Kieran finished 11th, Risky 12th, Red Matt, Dexter, Thomas also out of the playoffs. Brandon, Riley, Josh, OKK and Jack. And that does end this set of races, the end of the first round of the playoffs. Where are we next week?
Next week we begin the round of 8 and we are back to Bahrain short. But it's not next week, it's the week after, because next week is the 10 versus 10, the JACKOCAR versus One Hub charity race in aid of Cowrie Scholarship Foundation. So hoping to raise at least £1,000 for them. 10 JACKOCAR drivers, including Pete, Khalifa, Corey and J-Luke, who all just had that. Yeah. And 10 One Hub drivers. 25% of proceeds of the races one t-shirt go towards the charity, and there will be a Just Giving link on both JACKOCAR and One Hub Twitter feeds. So join us for that, but we are back to action in 2 weeks' time at Bahrain Shore, the Cup Series.
Yeah. So that does mean you're going to have to go a week, people, without me. I know it's terrible. It is terrible. But, yeah, enjoy your event. I'll enjoy my week off. And, yeah, we'll see you for Bahrain short. But, yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the carnage. And, yeah, safe travels.